half of the season which has had just about everything. It's had close, intense battles. It has had racing right up to the checkered flag. It has had all sorts of new names up to the front. But this second half of the season starts at a place which, by every account of the imagination, has been fabled for year after year, decade after decade. It's the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It is round 4 here of this brilliant Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. Jake Sperry, Peter Mackay, here to bring you through all of the action today. And Peter, what a track this is. All iRacers know it like the back of their hands. It's one of the first free tracks you get jumping onto the iRacing service. And what a track to cut your teeth at, with the fabled corkscrew and so much amazing racing that happens around this technical masterpiece.
Absolutely. Again, this is a circuit that follows the natural curvature of the land, and what a curvature it is. A brilliant place to come racing, to challenge the driver and also teach a driver as well, which is what the Skip Barber Racing School is all about. And of course, it's no accident that the Skip Barber Racing School used this circuit to run their very own race schools.
Absolutely, and well, we talk about learning, and there is a lot on the line, so the learning curve of this series has been quick and has been right up there. So a combined prize pool overall by the Skip Barber series of $500,000, which includes individual prizes, $1,000 worth of credit to the Skip Barber Racing School for every victory over the course of this 12 race season. 6 weeks are in week 4 of 6. And that, of course, goes along with the Hard Charger Award. The driver who gains the most positions in the race, they get 1 day's worth of racing school, courtesy of Skip Barber. All drivers top 3 in the championship get 5 days worth of competition licensing at the Skip Barber Race School, along with Skip Barber Racing School coaching. But crucially, first prize gets themselves a full season, second place gets half, and third gets 1 week's worth of racing. But Peter, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, this is probably the home of the West of America's racing.
Certainly is. I mean, they've been racing here since 1957, and it's been right at the pinnacle of motorsport in not just the west coast of America, but the whole of North America entirely, both on 2 and 4 wheels. This circuit has developed some iconic moments in motorsport. If you're a two-wheeled fan, well, who could forget 2008, Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner going down the corkscrew? And if you're a car racing fan, well, really, there is just no shortage of moments, particularly 2009 American Le Mans Series, Jörg Bergmeister and Jan Magnussen duking out all the way to the line and beyond. It's an incredible place, very undulating, very challenging. It punishes mistakes. The drivers are going to be put to the test today.
If Watkins Glen last week was anything to go by, then we could see some duking all the way to the line here today. This is how the championship standings look, and what's crucial to point out here at this moment is that a drop round has already been added into the scores. It is the best 2 of the first 3 weeks and the best 2 of the last 3 weeks, which means Mikel Garda leads by just 5 points over Elvis Rankin in second, and 10 points back of that is Nicholas Matteo in third position. Keep an eye out for the likes of Michael Janney and Deegan Fairclough. Those 2 drivers definitely could make a challenge. So too could the likes of Matt Bussa and Pier Francesco Patricolo later on in the season. But you can see there, that second half of the board here, Peter, a lot of drivers 11 through 20 not here today. So a great chance for those who managed to qualify today to get up in the championship standings.
Absolutely, and you mentioned Matt Bussa as well, Jake. He's looking really quick right now in free practice for this race. You know, Matt's got so much experience in the stock car racing world in the iRacing Coke Series. I mean, he could really come to the fore today, and with just 44 points to catch Mikel Gadi and Elvis Rankin, who knows, we could see some turning around. But Mikel and Elvis, they're going to be doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Absolutely, and we have seen some drivers make some good progress, and the one thing that we've seen consistently over these hot laps, which any person can jump in and give themselves an opportunity to do so, and it's very important to note that if you do the most laps in the hot lap time trials, you get yourself a day's worth of Skip Barber Racing School. So with these drivers who are trying to put these laps in, do you find it surprising, really, that Nicholas Matteo consistently over this season has not been one of the top 3 drivers when it's come to the hot lap time trials?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, the hot lap time trials, because it's a completely different racing discipline to racing in a bunch, particularly last week at Watkins Glen. That was almost like a super speedway race, but on a road course. Today's going to be different. I would think the drivers that are good at the single lap hot lapping are going to come to the fore here at Laguna Seca, because it's not abundant in overtaking opportunities. The draft isn't as important, but it will punish mistakes. So if you're really hot on that one lap pace, this is where you want to do it.
Absolutely, and let's talk about how this race is going to construct itself today. 2 races, as per usual. You get 1 lap's worth of qualifying, you get 15 minutes in race number 1, and crucially, that sets up the grid for race number 2, which is also 15 minutes long. Fixed setup, so everyone's on the same playing field in iRacing's brand new car, the iRacing Formula IR04. Such an incredible machine, and we've seen incredible battling on its opening foray in the iRacing service. So this is a really, really good car to go and race in. We've seen some great qualifying efforts over the course of what has been a great week, but let's take a look at how they are going to line up. And Matt Busa has put himself on the pole position, a 121.798, has every reason to be excited with that moving forward. We'll have Michael Janney for company in the number 5. The 2 top in the championship, the 2 top in qualifying for this 4th round. They start 3rd and 4th. Elvis Rankin ahead of Mikel Garda, with Felipe Cabrera Loyola back to form in 5th, and Nicolas Matteo going from 6th position. On row 4, Ross Banfield will line up with the Italian Pier Francesco Patricolo. Matthew Zeiss starts 9th, and Tyler Campbell rounds out the top 10.
John Butafor will start from 11th in the number 7 car alongside Jordan Johnson on row 6 of the grid here for this opening race of the day, with the Dutchman Luca Becker on row 7 alongside Simon De Mori. Then it's Michael Romandidis and Lydon Lee. Then Jack Harrison will start on the inside of row 9 with the Briton Dagan Fairclough all the way back on row 9, better than not really where he would like to be. And finally, it's Romain Bachmann.
Absolutely, and moving forward, it's going to be a tough race for the likes of Fairclough and Bachmann, who didn't set a time in qualifying out there. Luca Becker, the Luxembourgian driver, will be certainly hoping for a really, really good result. He's got the number 20 today, and he'll be trying to affluence himself over the course of this race. But you can see here that this track is a lot different to a lot of the other circuits out there over the course of the calendar and the season. You can see that burnt grass on the outside of a number of these corners here, Peter. This is going to be a track about accuracy and making sure that you hit your marks, because it is going to be very, very slippery when you get offline.
Certainly is, and I thank you very much for correcting me, Jake. I do apologise to Luca Becker. He's a Luxembourgian driver rather than Dutch. The flag is so similar. I do apologise for that. I've been to Luxembourg. It's a beautiful place. Yes, this is a different ball game. If you go offline here at Laguna Seca, if you just stretch, well, we don't talk about track limits at all at Laguna Seca, because if you break them, it has its own way of punishing you, usually by way of landing in the sand pit. So you've got to be careful here. Any mistake will be severely punished. And the track temperature, well, it is sky high, 107 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to make it pretty greasy, pretty slippy in the Californian sunshine.
It is very much California hot today, and this is the fabled corkscrew corner. The left into the right, a drop of about 18 stories as you go down through there. It is such an aggressive drop. It's probably the most aggressive drop in racing today, and you need so much confidence as you set the car in that the rears are going to respond to you and you're not going to spin out through that section, through turn 10, and then that final overtaking spot, turn number 11. That's going to be the key. Pace car dives down then into pit lane. Let's put 15 minutes up on the clock. Let's get ourselves ready. Matt Busa with control of the field then here for what is an important race. The green flag in the air, and we are underway as we drive towards turn 2 and the Andretti hairpin. A great start then from Busa and Elvis Rankin. He got the launch that he certainly wants as they dive on through that very difficult turn 2. All 20 drivers making it through unscathed, and you can see already still a little bit of too wide as they fight, because you've got the likes of Michael Janney. He's having to be defensive early. Mikel Garda wants to try and find a way through and move himself up into 3rd place.
That's a fantastic start from Elvis Rankin in the number 1 car. That number 1 signifying the order in which he qualified for the race. He was fastest during the week time trials, and well, made a great start with the racecraft into the Andretti hairpin, and he's right on the case of Matt Busa early on. There he is with the black helmet and black halo. Matt Busa with the yellow helmet and yellow halo as well. Just a tiny couple of car lengths between them as they head up towards the corkscrew for the first time. Always perilous on cold tyres.
It always is, and everyone's got to make sure that they get those markers. Look at them fanning through too wide through the rear of the field there as they push forward, but a nice clean get-go is exactly what we wanted to see. Charging through turn 10 in towards turn 11, you're going to see a lot of the dust and the dirt get kicked up as long as this race goes. So the lead is looking pretty comfortable at this moment. Busa leads, Rankin in 2nd. Garda is up into 3rd position right now. So Michael Janney, through that opening lap, has really struggled to drop 3 spots from where he started. He really needs to find that rhythm and get to pace quickly, because he's already being challenged by Felipe Cabrera Loyola. But still, the top 2 looking good, and Busa can't afford mistakes. Just pushes a little wide there through turn number 3, and you're seeing drivers trying to use as much of the track as possible. It's like they're trying to pay their road tax.
Absolutely, yeah, using all the road and trying to maximise that corner speed. These iRacing IR04 machines, they're fantastic little cars. They're like little baby F3 cars, and they've got fantastic downforce but not enormous amounts of power, just about 160 horsepower. So you really have to maximise the corner speed as best you can. So you're going to see the drivers really stretching it as much as they can go, and you can tell that Matt Busa's pushing, putting 2 wheels onto the sand early on, and no wonder when you've got Mikkel Gade on your case looking very determined. There is the Dane from Roskilde, area where, funnily enough, we mentioned Jan Magnussen earlier on. Him and his son Kevin, that's where they come from.
Absolutely a hotbed for Danish racing talent then, as he tries to drive through side by side then as they go towards turn number 11. This is Jordan Johnson trying to fight with Simon Mori, and Deegan Fairclough there has just found his way through, and they're all there. You've got the likes there of Butterfur as well. He's definitely trying to get through. This is a very congested battle as they run down the hill to the Andretti hairpin. That outside line can work. It's a double apex left-hander trying to get it sorted, but Deegan Fairclough doing enough there with Jordan Johnson just behind him. Deegan Fairclough, he himself, a really, really talented driver. He is one of the development drivers over in the British Touring Car Championship, so he knows what he needs to do to go and get himself some more vital experience.
Yeah, and a very different style of car as well, but showing that it works. Well, if you're involved in the tin top world, you need to know how to overtake and to get through the pack as we ride with Jordan Johnson, and I'm loving the footwear. Now, are those slippers or clogs? I'm not sure, but they look quite cumbersome to drive with, but they look cozy anyway, that's for sure.
Well, his feet will be just as warm as it would be if he was here in the sunshine here of California. You can see racing around in virtual reality as he tries to get that drive through the rainy curve, turn number 9. It's such an auspicious corner. It invites you in and it really tightens up. It's sometimes like petting a cat. Yes, I'll pet you. Yes, I'll pet you. Oh, I've just lost my arm.
That's why dogs are friendlier. Yeah, don't go near the cats. Well, it's quite interesting. Jordan Johnson there in shorts but with slippers on at the same time, but showing the differences in how you can set up. Some drivers like the VR, some prefer a kind of triple screen wraparound setup to give them the best peripheral vision when they're side by side in the battle. But Matt Busa just holding the gap exactly steady with Elvis Rankin right behind him. Mikel Gade now has made a real push on, and he's now right behind Elvis Rankin, so we've got a 3-car breakaway at the front of the field.
A very good 3-car breakaway, and it doesn't matter whether it's triple screens or virtual reality. If you want to get yourself in today and racing here with us at iRacing, you can log on to iRacing.com today. 40% off of your first membership if you want to jump on in and get yourself in. But more importantly, you can still jump in today and join with the Skip Barber Racing School and get yourself in for qualifying. To become a member in the series, you can log on to skipbarber.com/iRacing series. Get yourself ready for round 5 of the championship 1 week from today. Most laps will get 1 day's worth of racing schools courtesy of the Skip Barber Racing School. So sign up today and make that a reality at the moment. Busa, Rankin and Garda are up there 1, 2 and 3, and they've already pulled out a 2.3 second gap, Garda to Matteo. So it really is looking right now that these top 3 have the pace and they're making it a race about themselves at this moment in time. But nothing really so far here, Peter, has been decisive. Busa has just kept Rankin at an arm's length as, again, you can see the left-hand side tyres getting really chalked up with the dirt and dust on the outside of 3.
Yeah, it seems like the drivers with the pace at the moment are Elvis Rankin and Mikel Gada. Both of those drivers last time by a 1 minute 21.8. Matt Busa 2/10 slower, 122.0. As you ride on board, Busa on your left, Rankin on your right. Elvis Rankin still a very fresh-faced young man, but super quick with big ambitions in the racing world. Has got real-world experience in quarter midgets and wanting to progress to the single-seater racing world. So this really does mean a lot to him. This is exactly the career path that he wants to take. He wants that seat in that Skip Barber Racing School.
He absolutely does. I did just see Ross Banfield drop down the timing screen. He had a spin over at turn number 4, so troubles for him. And 2 drivers out of the race, Michael Romanidis and Julian Bachmann in trouble at this moment in time. But the top 3 still driving around. Matt Busa with control, ducking down the hill and in towards what is probably the easiest place to make a pass today, which is down there at turn number 2. There at the Andretti hairpin, it's probably the heaviest braking zone that you have there, barring the corkscrew. But the issue with the corkscrew is the very difficult turn 6 just before it that crests the rise, because you've got those anti-cut curbs, those red curbs. You can see it there through turn 4. It is going to be always very difficult to get things happening. But we do have a little look at what happened there to Mr. Banfield earlier on here, Peter.
Well, let's take a look at it then. Now that just shows you they're just putting half a wheel width, putting the rear left tyre just off the racing surface. And round he went. That is a minute mistake with quite big consequences.
And that's what we were talking about. It's a track where the consequences of your actions are going to be exacerbated today. And still, you can see Elvis Rankin in second position, pretty much the sandwich right now, as he tries to stop becoming the filling and wants to become a piece of bread in terms of this top 3 battle at this moment in time. They'll cross the line with about 6 minutes and 40-odd seconds left in this race, and they know they have to just make the move when the time comes. And it is a very tough track today to get yourself that run and that possibilities to attack, and they know that they are going to be fighting quite a bit. And actually, the big key that I'm looking at here in this first race is that these drivers are going quicker and quicker and quicker as they go and battle. But it looks like something's happened between a couple of drivers towards the rear of the field. It looks like John Boertifer and Jack Harrison here have looked like they've had a bit of a moment, and here's all trouble going into 3.
Oh, so that's the same mistake really there from Boertifer, and at the same time Harrison off and just about hangs on to it there, does the driver in the blue helmet with the blue halo. And that was very tight there indeed, but Boertifer going for a little twirl. And the thing is, if you make a mistake in race 1, it's compounded for race 2, because if you fall down the order in race 1, that is where you start race 2. So it really rewards consistency here in the Skip Barber iRacing Formula Series. And Matt Busa, this has been a really impressive drive. To put the car on pole, mighty impressive indeed. But everything that Elvis Rankin and Mikel Gade have thrown at him, he's responded. He's a tenth quicker than both Rankin and Gade last time by. So whenever he's been asked the question, he's had the answer.
He certainly has. And as they cross the line, the top 3 split by just half a second out there. And Elvis Rankin and Mikel Gade they find themselves with everything that they want, doing 21.6s each as they run in towards turn number 2, putting just enough together as they go through what has been a very, very tough race so far. Your biggest mover in terms of hard charger is once again Deegan Fairclough. He's had that all season going through, so he's been trying to go through, but it looks like there has been an issue for Lyden Lee in the number 16 machine. We're going to have a little bit of a look here, see exactly how this goes, and this is the first time today we've seen the corkscrew have a victim, and you could see it was the front right lifting up, effectively having to drive with 3 wheels going through the corkscrew. Peter, how important are those 4 contact patches?
They're vital, that is for sure. But the kind of, I always think the corkscrew, it's kind of like a controlled crash every lap. You're kind of falling, it's like falling down the stairs and hoping that you stick the landing. By the time you get to the Rainy Curve, one of the coolest corners in the world, Rainy Curve, that downhill left-hander where you're just carrying so much speed, and it's, yeah, I mean, you couldn't name it after a cooler guy, 3-time motorcycle world champion, Wayne Rainey. And yeah, it's such an amazing sequence of corners. You are really going down a helter-skelter, but Matt Bussell looked really in control here. He knows what it's like to be in the heat of a battle. Interesting hold on the steering wheel there. His right hand with just his index finger on the rim of the steering wheel. That's a highly unusual way to hold the steering wheel, but perhaps that's a stock car habit that sticks around, maybe.
Maybe it does, and it's certainly working here today at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and he gets a great drive, actually, coming off of turn 4 towards the left up the hill of turn number 5, and it just gives him that extra 2 car lengths, and all of a sudden Elvis Rankin is looking behind him at the driver who is 5 points clear of him in the championship. Behind that, great battle here. Mateo up against it. Gianni trying to fight back. Felipe Cabrera Loyola, the Chilean, just behind, just surveying the scene at the moment. And looks like we've got some great scrapping here as they go up the hill towards left and right. Garda on the timing tower, now through on Elvis Rankin up into second position. But there you can see, as they charge forward, that was crucial for number 2 to get by number 1.
Well, I did not expect that. These drivers are so closely matched. Gada able to get a move done on Elvis Rankin, and Busa will have to respond to that. 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. So it's going to be mighty tight whether we get an extra lap or not. I think we might just get the checkered flag right on the 15-minute mark. So let's get a replay then and see what happened, to see how Elvis Rankin, that's in the right-hand side of your screen. It's at the corkscrew, and Rankin, you have to say, left the door wide open, and Gada said, yes, please.
He did, and I tell you what, Elvis Rankin was so desperate to get the power down, he very nearly clattered that front wing into the back of the Danish driver's rear. So he definitely wouldn't be too happy if that happened, but it is, again, a case of trying to work it happen. There is Mateo. He is absolutely having to defend with everything he's got. You can't miss him with the purple wheel rims that he's got on his car. Moving up then to the very tough turn 6. A one-line suits all left-hander up the hill of about 80 degrees worth of turn. And there is a little look then from Michael Gianni's perspective here as he drives it into the corkscrew. You can see how dirty it is on entry as they go through, because everyone's trying to take as much as they can out of the corner.
Yeah, and kicking up all of that dust as well. So yeah, you've got to be super careful there at the corkscrew. Michael Gianni just trying to get as close as he can to try and get a move done on Nicolas Mateo and get those points. Can he set up a move into the Andretti hairpin? Let's see, but who would have thought the corkscrew would have been the big overtaking opportunity? But Rankin really did leave the gap open, and Gada, I think, just snapped the chance as best as he possibly could. But we take the white flag, so we are going no time into overtime. We're going to basically finish the race right on when the clock hits 0.
Right on schedule. Gianni trying to find a way through. There's your top 3. Matt Busa, who's just slowly kept everyone behind him by a margin that he has felt comfortable with. Moving up into turn number 5. Mikel Garda doing only what he needs to at the moment. finish ahead of your direct competition behind you, that being Elvis Rankin. And Rankin, who has been pushing and pushing, might have pushed himself out of play. As you can see, he's run wide. Big slide as he goes through into the gravel. He saves the car and keeps himself in third position at the corkscrew. Your leading duo go. No chance of a move yet, but maybe the almighty of almighty lunges at the final corner may just be on. Mikkel's got to really maximise this turn 10, which leads to 11. Are you brave enough? He's just a bit too far back. Rounding the final corner, Matt Busa with a good drive off of the exit. This is vindication for a 10-plus year sim racing career. He takes race 1 here at Laguna Seca.
What a drive from Matt Busa. Was quick in practice, fastest in qualifying, and really backed that up in the race under a lot of pressure. When Mikkel Garden made that move on Elvis Rankin, that must have been a concern for Matt Busa, but he didn't let it fuss him and gets the win and puts his championship campaign right back on track.
He absolutely does. The last of the drivers start to make their way over, the likes of Leiden Lee coming over towards the line. The one last driver to reach will be Julian Bachmann, a couple of laps down here in this one, so we can get confirmation then of results here from race number 1 tonight here from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Matt Busa picking up the win, 15 minutes and 3 seconds. He gets it done by a tenth and a half, just about over Mikkel Garda, with Elvis Rankin. Very, very good drive from him, but can only manage third. Nicholas Matteo will finish 4th, keep the pressure on, with Michael Janney 5th. Felipe Cabrera Loyola finishes in 6th, ahead of Pier Francesco Patricolo, with Deegan Fairclough, your hard charger here in this race. And he's done that a number of times this season. He finishes off in 8th, with Jordan Johnson in 9th, and Luca Becker, good result from him, up 3, finishes off in the top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Simon De Mori, just ahead of Jack Harrison, Matthew Zeiss and John Boutefort, with Ross Banfield finishing in 15th position. Tyler Campbell was 16th, with Leiden Lee in 17th, and 2 drivers not making it to the flag, Roman Bachmann and Michael Romanidis.
Looks like it's going to be a long evening for them on the European peninsula, but an afternoon's drive has looked pretty good for the opening stages. We're going to step aside for one moment here when it comes to this Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. We'll be back with race 2 and fallout from race 1 after this.
It doesn't matter where you're from, who you grew up rooting for, what you grew up watching, your home track, your favorite car, the series you've always wanted to race in. When you're ready to know what it's like, we're here, bringing you as close to the action as it gets with the ultimate sim racing experience. With a community of hundreds of thousands just like you. This is iRacing, and here, every day is race day.
So great racing in that opening foray of what is amazing battling tonight. It was hard fought from start to finish, but what we could say is Matt Busa finally picks up a victory here in what is an all-important battle. He stood by with us right now. And Matt, what you'd have to say in terms of an important race here today at Laguna Seca was you needed to do one thing, and one thing importantly from the front, dictate tempo, and you did that perfectly tonight.
Yeah, it was a really good qualifying lap. Good pole there. Pleasantly surprised. This is not really my forte, these open wheel cars coming into this series, but I've grown to really like them. Last couple of weeks, I put in a little bit extra practice for these races. And yeah, I thought Mikael and Elvis especially would just blow my doors off in race pace, and surprised myself there. Hopefully we can do it again here in the future race.
How important has this sort of racing been today? This is a track that can get very dusty very quickly, especially with the fact that you go dirt racing on Tuesday. So, quote unquote, a little bit of practice for you?
Yeah, I felt it a bit in a couple of the turns there. I don't know if somebody went off track in the corkscrew or not, but there was definitely a lot of dirt on the exit there. A couple times I got a little squirrely, so I kept on taking it easy there and lost some time to them. So I'm going to have to step that up for the future. But yeah, this is definitely a lot more grip, but that corkscrew wheeling can come in handy Tuesday when we go to Bristol Dirt in the Coke Series.
Absolutely. And, you know, you look at where you are right now, you had to control the field, you had to control the pace in terms of the way that you've been battling, but just looking at those two drivers behind you, you've got Mikael Garda, you've got Elvis Rankin, they're top two in the championship. You know, to get up into that top three, you've got to beat them consistently. How crucial are these results? Getting big points, 35 points, and really boosting up your scores, meaning that drop rounds could be a little easier for you later on.
Yeah, it'll be huge. If, the 35 already is huge for the first heat here. If we can get another 35, a total of 70 today, that would be just outstanding. Definitely would not have expected it, but yeah, that would be big time for the championship. I know Mikael is going to be the favorite. He's kind of got a little gap over me there, so I'm just trying to get the top three, as you mentioned. This will be huge.
Certainly would. He's been a staple for over a decade when it's come to the sim racing sphere. Matt Buser there joining us and having a really, really good result in race one. It could be the same for race number 2, which is just about to bring itself then to a head. So let's take a look down towards the starting grids then for today. See exactly where everybody is going to be lining up and giving themselves an opportunity. Once again, it'll be Matt Buser out there on pole position, but he will have the championship leader Mikael Garda alongside for the ride. Elvis Rankin and Nicholas Matteo, they are on the second row. Matteo had a really good launch that got him from 6th to 4th in race number 1. Michael Janney will be hoping to not go backwards in the number 5 machine. He starts 5th for this one, with Felipe Cabrera Loyola going from 6th position, where he managed to lose 1 place in race number 1. Pier Francesco Patricolo, he starts 7th, with Deegan Fairclough looking again to run up through the field, this time from 8th position. Jordan Johnson starts 9th, and the Luxembourgian Luca Becker rounds out the top 10.
Starting 11th on the grid for the second race of the day is the Austrian Simon De Mori, with Jack Harrison on the outside of row 6. Starting on the inside of row 7 is Matthew Zeiss alongside Sean Boutefeur, who want to recover from his spin in race 1. Ross Banfield will start on the inside of row 8 with Tyler Campbell alongside him. Then on row 9 it's Leiden Lee and Romain Bachmann.
Just moving over the final driver there, Michael Romanidis, back there in 19th. He has been up inside the top 10 of this championship, but has never really had a result that has screamed out that he is there to challenge the front drivers. And going from the back of the field, he might just be looking for hard charger all the way back there in 19th. Here's a look, though, from the iRacing safety vehicle as it makes its way through. You can tell it's a safety vehicle because it says safety vehicle on it as we drive under the Firestone Bridge and go towards turn number 4. Matt Buser in the 13 really trying to make something happen. You can see just how much the drivers, even in these conditions, Peter, are really trying to work the tyres in.
Well, we have the legendary Murrayisms, and I think we've had our first Sperryism. It's like this, you can tell it's a safety vehicle because it says safety vehicle on it. That's definitely a Sperryism. I think I like that. This is going to be an interesting start to the second race, because for Matt Buser, you know, he's very, I would say, modest in his post-race interview there. I think he's been there on pace, but he won't want to see Michael Gaddy in his mirror on the second race. He's going to hope that Elvis Rankin gets in there and they fight back.
Absolutely, and you can fight and claw and scratch and do everything that you need to win races. When it comes to iRacing, you can log on today, iRacing.com, 40% off of your first subscription if you jump into racing, as Booster's actually ahead of the safety car there for a little moment. And on top of that, you can join in on the action with the Skip Barber Racing School and get yourself in to qualify for the series. On top of that, you can head over to skipbarber.com/iRacing series to check that out. The best driver, the driver who does the most laps, I should say, wins 1 day's worth of Skip Barber Racing School. So sign up today and make it all happen. Booster's done this once already tonight, and he'll want to do it again. An early launch this time as the green flag drops, and we are back underway here with race 2 at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Nicholas Matteo is going to look to the outside to try and make a lunge, and he goes very deep on the brakes, locks up the inside left tyre, and will fall back into that 4th position. You can see a bit of side-by-side behind that as well, as the likes of Fairclough gets past Cabrera Loyola. 4th position, moving through turn 3. That's a very nice start. Matteo was ambitious.
Oh, he certainly tried with Nicholas Matteo, but just got onto the outside line there at the Andretti hairpin and just did not have the grip and couldn't get it quite slowed down in time to make a move there. So good start from Matt Bussa. He gassed it up as early as possible, tried to catch the field napping. But that's a risk then as well, because of the field chase you, and they get in the draft, they can make a move. But Matt Bussa timed it perfectly and leads into the start of this lap. Into the corkscrew for the first time, but he's got Mikel Gade right on his gearbox.
He absolutely does. Look at them swarm up and over. You can see most of them following the same line. A bit of too wide in the background there, as it looked like a pretty good pass from Tyler Campbell, I believe it was, who got himself through. But as they continue to scrap then, going in towards that final corner, we saw patience need to be exercised early on. Bussa, Gade, and then in third Elvis Rankin. They've got to make sure that they're just making clean and fair overtakes and not putting themselves at risk. This is the sort of track where going too wide is going to cost you a lot. A little peek to the inside there at turn 1, but look at this pack going through. Too wide, too deep there in the rear of the field.
Oh, Matt Bussa there. I thought Mikel Gade was going to have a dive up the inside. Like you said, Jake, it was a peek, but wasn't a full look just yet. But maybe a dress rehearsal possibly from Mikel Gade. It's going to be fascinating at the front of the field as they filter in and out for position in the mid-pack here at Laguna Seca. We have quite a few drivers in that opening lap going off onto the gravel on turn 10, the penultimate corner, but looks like all managed to recover from those little off-track excursions.
Yeah, definitely looked like they did. Up the rise they go here, the Rahal straight over towards that very difficult carousel, that very difficult corkscrew corner. Carousels will be next week when it comes to Road America. But now you start wondering, how important is this going to be? Matt Bussa under braking in towards that corkscrew. You could see the back was twitching out not once but twice as he tried to get the car settled. So that rear definitely feeling very light.
Well, he did mention that he was getting a little bit squirrely coming out of the corkscrew as well, but Matt Bussa knows what it's like to have a car moving around underneath him. He almost relishes it as well. But here comes Gade. Has he got a run here as well? This is almost reminiscent of Stoner and Rossi coming down into the Andretti hairpin. Now, has Gade got this done? He wiggles around. Bussa on the outside as they go into turn 3, and Gade looks like he's got it done. Is Bussa going to let him have it? Oh, he's got no choice. Gade gets the move done with Elvis Rankin watching all of this in a grandstand seat there in third.
And that was the sort of move we saw from a driver's eyes perspective that you could get today. If you log on to iRacing.com and moving up another place, Elvis Rankin immediately following there in through turn 5 as we take a look then as he drives on forward towards turn 6. It's wonderful work. That is a case of 2 places gone in about 5 corners, which will be really concerning for Matt Bussa because he's got Nicholas Matteo just behind place in the championship.
Yeah, it's really seemed to have rattled Matt Bussa there. He's really dropped the rhythm, and straight away Elvis Rankin, he smelt blood and he took that opportunity going up the inside, and Matt Bussa didn't fight it too hard. He's maybe going to have to regroup very quickly, and Nicholas Matteo, we've seen how deep he can get on the brakes as well, so he's got to watch out there for Matteo in the number 10 car with the green halo and the purple wheels. Certainly the easiest car to spot out there. But Mikkel Gade now got half a second advantage over Elvis Rankin. This time by, it's going to be fascinating to see what the lap times are. Rankin's really got to put in some qualifying style sectors here and try and get on the case of Gade and put him under pressure. Otherwise, he could check out.
He definitely could check out. Let's take a little look, though, further back through the field, because it looks like an incident's happened going in towards this Andretti hairpin turn 2. This is Ross Banfield. Then as he goes through back, just completely steps out, and I think he's joined there by the 18 and someone else there as well, getting a little bit caught up in that too. So 3 cars in trouble, and you talk about a rhythm around this place. You're effectively on train tracks around here, and when one car has a moment, 2 or 3 behind are going to get spooked.
Yeah, and they're also tightly bunched that, if one car spins, it is likely to take a few unlucky drivers with them. That was Roman Nidis and Bachmann getting involved in that spin there with Ross Banfield. So it's going to be hard work for them in the next 9 minutes and 48 seconds to get any kind of progress, as well as we ride with Pier Francesco Patricolo from Cremona in Italy. He's up in 8th position at the moment with Cribera Loyola right in front of him, and just waiting to try and pick his opportunity as well. But with these 15-minute sprint races, Jake, it's almost, tactics almost go out the window. It's almost just a punch-up, make the overtake as soon as you possibly can.
And that's what the car in front, actually, Michael Janney's trying to do. You can see him move all the way to the left-hand side of the circuit, trying to get the pass done on Nicholas Matteo. He's actually defending from Deegan Fairclough. Sorry, I'll correct myself. So Deegan Fairclough, again, trying to be that aggressive driver, make that progress through. Michael Janney had to be really defensive for the majority of the race over the last race, the opening race we've had here this afternoon. And it's going to be a case again where Deegan Fairclough wants to be that aggressive driver, and he powers around the outside of turn 5, looking for it. Now, 6 is one line suits all. If you go too wide here, I'm not sure both drivers make this through all right, but look at it around the outside. Deegan Fairclough, what a monster move.
He is really showing his talent here as Deegan Fairclough in that number 3 car as well. You can see why he's caught the attention of those who need to be alert in the British domestic racing scene, and he's showing that he can do it here in the simulator as well in this Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. Amazing stuff. Remember, Deegan Fairclough started the first race from the back of the pack. He charged through, and he's continuing to charge through as Deegan Fairclough, now up into 5th position. How far can he get up the order? It's been so impressive to watch.
Yeah, just in the back of that there, you saw Jack Harrison having to defend from Jordan Johnson, who got a little bit caught up on the wrong side, and that has now allowed Luca Becker to try and go around the outside and make the move happen at the Andretti hairpin. If he can keep himself there, next 2 right-handers are going to favour him on the inside line. So can he be aggressive under braking into turn 3? The answer to that is yes. He gets the overlap and he covers off the move into turn 4. He's got the place.
Well, has Mikkel Gade checked out? No, he hasn't, but Gade and Rankin have checked out slightly from Matt Busa. Matt Busa now 1.7 seconds off the lead, 1.4 seconds off second place. So Gade and Rankin getting a bit of a breakaway. But for all Matt Busa fans, don't worry, because you never know, if Rankin tries to throw a move, that will slow them both down. So it's not done yet with 7 minutes to go. And Elvis Rankin, he can't afford to give away points to Mikkel Gade. He did in race 1. He won't want to do the same again in race 2.
Absolutely. So 3 lost there in race number 1. It would be I'd say 2 lost in race number 1. It'll be 3 here in race number 2 if he's not careful with the way that he drives about it. But Elvis Rankin right now is looking to be the king out there at this point in time. Car number 1 was the fastest driver in the hot lap time trials, and he knows that Gade just in front has been a star when it has come to finding victories. They fought really well with each other all the way back at round 2 of the championship. Oh, spin! Busa in trouble there in the back, and it looks like there's a huge wreck. About 4 cars have been caught up in it.
Oh dear. And there's a number of cars. We'll get a look on that. That puts Nicholas Matteo up into 3rd position, Patricolo up to 4th, Becker to 5th. And I tell you who has been involved in that, Deegan Fairclough. He was in 5th. He's dropped right down the order. Matt Busa right down the order as well, and Harrison as well. So, disaster for those drivers. We'll get a replay for you as soon as we can. 4 meatball flags being shown, so 4 cars so damaged that they can't continue.
Yep, the black and orange mechanical flag out then for the drivers being Deegan Fairclough, Michael Janney, Jack Harrison and Matt Busa. And it all happened because of an overtake attempt from Nicholas Matteo, third in the championship. You can see he tries to make that lunge to the inside. He is a live wire when he goes for it, but he gets up on the red anti-cut curb, grabs that one, Mr. Matt Busa. And I think the one thing you have to say there from Matt Busa when he goes around is that he was trying to flick spin that car back around again, but realized, oh, I'm out of time. And there's a pack of 5 coming. He's in trouble.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the thoughts are on that incident. It did seem that Matt maybe just shut the door at the apex there, and Matteo really couldn't do any more. He had shown his intent there, but I'm glad I'm not a race steward. I'm so glad I'm a commentator, not a race steward, because that is a tricky one to call. Back at the front then, Mikel Gade, well, he's laying down, he's done 2 1 minute 21.4s, but Rankin is matching him. 1 minute 21.4 for Rankin last time by as well. It is so tight. If you want to find the exact difference, they were 15 thousandths of a second apart on the last lap. Incredible.
Absolutely, and that track has really cooled off from race 1 towards race 2, and I think that is a huge element of why you've got racing. There's a huge wiggle there from Mikel Gade in the 2 coming down the corkscrew. That could have very easily have been the end of his race. He kept the foot in and ultimately gained a couple car lengths from it.
Well, yeah, that could have been a big one. It shows you how hard Mikel Gade is pushing. Looking at our hard charger award at the moment, Jean Boutefort is in line to take that prize. 7 places gained, up to 7th. What a way to bounce back from the horror show he had in race 1.
Absolutely, but here comes Elvis Rankin. This is where the draft really proves itself strongest, in towards the Andretti hairpin. Not enough, though, at the moment. You can see him really trying to take as much as he can out of the second bite of the Andretti hairpin to give himself that run in towards turn 3. Off of the exit, both drivers taking themselves into the grass and the dirt there on the outside because they're really trying to attack. And look at Gade. He's pushing so hard, using all of the road. He is driving at 105%, trying to keep Elvis Rankin behind, who is doing everything in his powers to put the pressure on.
Well, there's a young man who's determined. He wants this seat. He wants that Skip Barber Racing School seat, and he is going to do everything he can to get there as well. So focused is young Elvis Rankin from Indiana. But just trying to find his way past Mikel Gade is not going to be easy. It's the track getting really dirty again already at the corkscrew. Elvis Rankin trying everything that he can. He set such a hot lap time last time by 121.4 for Rankin in the last lap.
This is the corner you have to maximise. Turn 11, it gives you that run to turn 2. And you're seeing here just the ever so slight differences, about a car length in between, and immediately straight to the inside defending goes Mikel Gade. They got 4 seconds to Nicholas Matteo in the number 10, so they can afford to start fighting now if they want to. Oh, Rankin, big lunge down to the inside. Has he got it slowed up? He absolutely does. That was as late can be, but he hasn't got it sorted. Gade on the outside, now to the inside here at 3, is just going to hold. That could have been just showing the hand.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin's made his best attempt there to try and get the move done, but Gade saw it coming and played it very smart. Managed to gas it up and keep the inside line critically for heading over to turn 3. So Gade survives for now, but Rankin's got the Danish driver under pressure now. This is we think will be the penultimate lap. We'll see when they come over the line, but by my calculations, this will be the penultimate lap as they head up the Rahal straight. And does Elvis Rankin have one more opportunity into turn 1? We'll see.
Well, this has also been going on, an incredible battle for 7th position. John Boutefort is currently the hard charger, but he might have to share that with Tyler Campbell here, who's going side by side with Matthew Zeiss, I believe, for position into the corkscrew. He's all over the dirt, and everyone checks up, and there's a spinner. There's a spinner. It's Tyler Campbell, who's gone around Simon de Mori as well, going around in the 19 car, so both of them find themselves in trouble. But it's the leading duo who now know that they will cross the line with about 3 seconds left on the clock. This is the last lap of the race. Gade goes very defensive early, and Rankin's going to have to try and go around the outside. Doesn't have the angle, though, as he tries to find room at 3.
very clever racecraft there from Mikel Garda, and has to go on the defensive again. Rankin gets the run as well. Remember, coming up towards turn 5, that's where he made the move on Matt Busa earlier on, but out of turn 4, Garda gets a super exit as well. Elvis Rankin's not going to be close enough. I tell you what, is it going to be the corkscrew? Is it going to be the Rossi move, Jake?
Is it? That's the question. Is it? Moving up the hill, looking for everything possible right now, and that could be so very crucial. Moving forward into the right, and is enough on the brake left, right, and it's not quite there just yet.
With balls it down in the curve for the final. It's going to have to be the last corner, I think, for Elvis Rankin. He's going to try and get this one done, but Mikel can't do it all. He's down to the last corner. They go pivotal.
Oh, it's pivotal. Not enough though.
He solidifies his championship lead. So in 11th position then, it's Lydon Lee in the number 16 car with Michael Janney. In 12th with Ross Banfield coming home in 13th place. Roman Bachmann in 14th. Simon De Mori in 15th. Unfortunate finish for Tyler Campbell in 16th with Matt Busa in 17th. Egan Fairclough in 18th and Jack Harrison in 19th. Some very unfortunate finishers there at the end of the field, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, and an incredible race there, but a lot of drivers coming to blows and coming to trouble towards the end of that race, and everybody was trying to put themselves to the very, very front, to the very level that they knew they were capable of doing. Really just the sort of thing that did not work, that did not find itself all the way at the end for Elvis Rankin. He tried everything today, it just didn't quite managed to make it a reality. But Peter, you look at this right now with 2 weeks worth of racing, 4 races left in the calendar, and that was probably about as much of a duel as I think Mikel Garda has had over the course of this season.
Yeah, and he passed it with flying colours, you have to say. I mean, couldn't quite break the result of Matt Busa there in race 1, but really showed his credentials, not only in pace, holding off Elvis Rankin, but also his racecraft. He didn't panic in those pressure situations. What will Road America show in a couple of weeks' time? That's going to be another kettle of fish altogether. Some of the tracks that we've gone to in this Skip Barber series have really given us such a complete championship to find our champion.
Absolutely, they have, and we've got some great racing. It has been fantastic, but we're going to have ourselves a little conversation in just a moment's time with Mikel Garda. An all-important victory. It has been a case of +1 after +1 for both races. Mikel, how amazing was that race for you? That was a duel between you and Elvis Rankin, and you had to pull every trick out of the book to keep him back today.
Yeah, I'm so sweaty right now. It was such an amazing race. I mean, Elvis put the pressure on me from almost lap 1, so it was really tough out there. But mean, it's nice. We had a good battle and we both drove fair, in my opinion. And I mean, was just very good racing in the end. So I'm really grateful for this race.
And with every element of grace there, you take a 5-point lead coming into today. You knew that today's goal was to finish ahead of the two main rivals you have here for this season, ahead of Elvis, ahead of Nicholas, and ultimately you have achieved that goal and then some, finishing ahead of both of them in both races. How crucial has that been today at a track where it is difficult to overtake, and you proving that you've had to overtake the best today to get to the front?
Yeah, it's really important. Of course, it was my goal to finish in front of Elvis in both races, and I also had to send it in race 1, and I was not sure if it was a good idea, but it worked out in the end. And I mean, earlier today I was practicing with Will Whitford. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but he was helping me out with some practice, and we were finding some good places to overtake here and there. So yeah, I think it really helped me today.
Well, next week, that shouldn't be a problem. It will be Road America as the next challenge. And in terms of that, 3 very long straights to make passes on. Do you consider that another race which is going to be very similar to Watkins Glen last week, where everyone's going to be dancing about and trying to be in the right position heading to those final couple of laps?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to Watkins Glen. I mean, that long straight after turn 2, I believe it is. I mean, hopefully we won't be 3 wide each lap, but I think it could be one of those races.
It certainly could, but he knows he's got the championship lead right now and is extending it week upon week. Mikel Garda then picking up victory in race number 2 here for what was amazing action at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Peter, this track's proven it again. It can be a real dueling circuit. It is a case when you are 1 versus 1. It is an amazing track. It gives you a lot. But next week might be a little bit different because it is Road America. We are heading up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And this track might just be a case of 5 or 6 going out there for the victory and trying to find an angle to attack.
Tell you, I can't wait. 7 days from now we go to America's National Park of Speed, and it's good. I think you're spot on, Jake. It's going to be very similar to what we saw at Watkins Glen last week. The slipstream, the strategy is going to be very important, and one thing you can usually be sure of at Road America, we're going to have some amazing dashes to that finish line up the final hill.
Absolutely, and that you can catch at 3 p.m. Eastern with us on iRacing Live. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can log on to iRacing, get yourself your first subscription for 40% off. But what you can say today is that was about making something happen. First Matt Busa, then Mikel Garda. This championship is on, and it now runs through Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, round 5, 1 week from today.